Alright, so Lucas here, back with another replay. This one was actually not sent to me. I spectated this one on Dueling Book. So this is a academy game or match. I believe it's in the Raw division. I don't know what to call it. Between Dingosig and Abnecide. So I'm hoping Dingosig is running their Chaos Return deck, which they used to win the sixth iteration of the AGT BLS Championship Series. And it appears that's the case. So this deck is running triple Decoichi, triple Spy, triple Shining Angel, a pair of Blade Knight, a pair of Asura, simply trying to play as an aggro deck, running triple Chaos Sorcerer, and then as a late game win condition, we have Return from the Different Dimension. So, turn 1, I would assume we want to set Decoichi, or a flip, but maybe we should lead with the Graceful, because I don't know that we run all that much in terms of discard fodder, if anything at all. But our hand is looking quite balanced. I mean, set the coaches, set us should set book, see what happens, and save the Graceful for later. I think also would make sense. So I think I would save the Graceful, but you could fire it off. Dingo agrees and saves the Graceful, but sets the entire hand. I don't quite understand this. I would simply have held on to the Solemn Judgment and not set it. I think it's a bit unnecessary to expose ourselves to heavy storm. Alright, so we're going to pick up the Sinister Serpent. So Judgment, Book, Kaiku, Reaper, Graceful. Alright, so based on my Kaiku, I mean, I would book this in a heartbeat, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I would. Accidentally flips the Graceful. Whoops. Um, so their sets are definitely Judgment and Book. So we set the Koichi and see if they want to commit for the Judgment. They do. Makes sense. I mean, I think we just let this go and save our own Judgment. Decides to flip the Graceful now. I guess the Graceful is very exposed now that we flipped it on accident. I mean, if I was the one piloting this, the Graceful wouldn't have been set in the first place. But once you do set the Judgment, I agree with setting the Graceful to play around Delinquent Duo. So the discussion is whether or not to set 2 or to set 4. And Dingo decided to set 4, which makes sense. I wouldn't have. I might be wrong. Right, so here, I would be very tempted to discard Dust Tornado and the Koichi, intending to run over the set with the Shining Angel. They agree, so we fire off the Pot of Greed because we know it's not Dust Shoot. We summon the Angel first. I mean, it's unlikely anything we draw is going to change your mind, but looks not so confident. Why we're playing around the card with no they don't have. So, yeah, swing with the Angel. And we do decide to book, which is a bit weird to me, because this doesn't really achieve anything. It saves the Kaiko, but you lose the book. The Kaiko is not going to be long for this world anyway. Maybe it is. I could be wrong. Let's see, what's their hand now again? Graceful and Reaper. Judgment? Okay, so we're claiming that eventually this Kaiko is going to trade for AD the War Lady, and at that point, Dingosig's graveyard is not going to be ready for their Chaos monsters. You could also claim that if Abnecide were to like graceful into Nobleman, then this Kaiko is going to utterly destroy us, along with the Reaper that's going to accompany it. So yeah, maybe this judgment actually does make sense. But Abnecide is not working with this information. But I'm not here to review the play from Abnecide. From Digosig's point of view, this was just unfortunate. But in that case, maybe we should have discarded the Angel rather than the Koichi if it were this wordbook book. Of course, we didn't know that we would draw Return plus Chaos Sorcerer off of the product read, but yeah, it's a bit interesting. I agree with the judgment, but I think that makes sense. Sets the return. Well, we know there's no breaker, but are we ever flipping return next turn? Yeah, we could. We could be. Yeah, sure. Makes sense. And they decide to slow roll the graceful. Yeah, I have this theory that nowadays Goat format is much faster than it used to be, and slow rolling graceful is becoming less and less relevant. So we're quite sure that's a Reaper, but there's not much we can do about it. Yeah, maybe this Angel being in the graveyard would be a lot better for us, actually. Yeah, because this Reaper is annoying. At this point, I guess we just summon the Blade Knight, attack with the Blade Knight. See, maybe it's not the Reaper. Decides not to run into the Reaper. But I think that doesn't make much. Okay, at first glance, it doesn't make much sense because we want to flip the Reaper so that it's vulnerable to Chaos Sorcerer at the future turn. With that said, that does leave us weak to top deck Kaiku. So it's not obvious for that to be the correct decision. Also, very interesting decision point. And if we are playing around the top deck Kaiko, we obviously don't summon the Blade Knight if we're assuming it's Reaper. But I think we might have been able to attack at least this time to flip the Reaper. I think that's useful. And there's the top deck Kaiko. What a god. Dingo is great. Okay, that was nice. So, still we can't really get a light into our graveyard. As if we crash with the Kaiko, we're not going to be happy with the outcome. I guess we set the Sangan. Summons Blade Knight, switches the Angel. I do not understand. It's going to be fun to see what happens here. What? But now we don't have any Dekoichi. Wait, what's going on? When this card inflicts battle damage, why are we not banishing our monsters? Am I missing something? I don't understand. Why are the Dekoichi still in the graveyard? Oh, we're playing around return. Do they know what we're playing against? Oh, is that it? Okay, so bear with me. So if Kaiku had banished the Dekoichi when crashing with the Angel, then the Deity Warrior Lady could banish off of the Kaiku, and then with return would be able to get the Warrior Lady back and the Dekoichis, and that would be lethal. Whereas now, it's not quite lethal. It's 1,000 damage short. Wow, that's next level. So Abnecide chose to play around the return? I mean, that must be what happened, unless I'm missing something. That's really cool. And Dingo doesn't go for the return. Yeah, they can't. They can't afford to risk that. And there's no light. That was really nice from Abnecide. Fires off the Graceful. And drew double Thunder Dragon off of it? Oh, I mean, could be worse, but that's not good. This is quite nice. So now we use the Chaos Sorcerer, right? Yeah. But man, this is getting scary if we are trying to avoid losing to this return. I mean, so far so good. So we just pass now then, right? Oh, but this just leaves us dead to return. So this implies that Abdicide has a Mirror Force or something? Or maybe we just figured that at this point they can't beat the return. Okay, but now we're just dead. Yeah. Looked a bit inconsistent, but I can also see it from the point of view that before using the Graceful, they thought they could play around the return. But then after using the Graceful, it turned out to be a really poor Graceful, and they decided that at this point I can't afford to play around the return. But yeah, it would be really cool to see what Abadiside thinks. I think Dingo played that very well. I think that was a really cool game. I'm not confident that my suggestions were any good at all. Feels like the players had that figured out way better than I did. With that said though, maybe Dingo should have discarded the Angel, which is easy to say in hindsight. I was also claiming that discarding the Dekoichi seemed better. But as it turns out, the book onto the Angel was devastating, and maybe that could have been predicted. I'm not quite sure. And yeah, I think it was a really nice play from Dingo to attack into the Kaiku with the Shining Angel when they did, seeing that that would threaten lethal if the Kaiku would banish the Dekoichi. Right. So we're playing against Case Turbo, which we now know for sure. Wasn't completely confirmed before. Maybe it was. Anyway, I think we lead with Graceful here. Yeah, we want that Nobleman. We found Nobleman and Heavy Storm. That's absurd. I think maybe we should get rid of one of the Chaos Sorcerers. I think two of them is one brick too many. But we probably can't afford to discard both. So maybe the Judgment? Maybe Judgment is a bit too good. I think this early on into the game we can discard the Judgment. It's going to be good later on. We discard double Chaos Sorcerer, okay. So now we use the Heavy Storm. Yep, sorry for the Judgment, that's just fine. Use the Nobleman, nice. Set the Spy. It's a bit awkward because we don't really want to set this behind the Spy in case of like a breaker. Maybe we're scared of something. Like say Reaper plus Nobleman or Kaiku plus Nobleman. I don't know. It's also kind of curious that Abnecide decided to set three cards as that plays into both Heavy Storm and Delinquent 2. Often you're trying to dodge one or the other. I guess we set both for back row, but I'm not that happy about it. Yeah, sets the third as well to completely blank Reaper and Delinquent 2. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, here we do get destroyed by the breaker. I mean, this is partially why I don't like playing Solemn. Uh, I'm just too concerned about breaker. Probably to a fault, but yeah, it does feel bad. We have the Judgment the Breaker. So say we would have discarded this Judgment just as a thought experiment. We would have held on to the Chaos Sorcerer and the Torrential and the Snitch. Maybe this would have turned out better, and we could have set the Torrential at a better opportunity and sniped the Breaker that way. Or maybe I would just get destroyed by some combination of cards that would blow me out completely. That's a really good draw. Set that. So here, I think we just flip and attack with probably both, because we're unlikely to be able to run over both. And if a Mirror Force, that's fine. I mean, this is also okay. Maybe this is better. I'm not sure. Yeah, because what back row are we going to use on our spy? If it was a Rageki Break or something, we would have already used it. So it could only really be Torrential or Mirror Force at that point. Could be Ring. That's also not that great for them. But maybe that's reason enough to switch both the spies. Not sure. So set the Judgment. Judgment the Graceful, seeing as their opponent has the Serpent. Makes sense. They set the Serpent. At this point we must switch the spy, right? Why do we attack with only one spy? Isn't it better for us if the Serpent is set on the field and our spy is in defense mode? I don't really understand that attack. I mean, now you can tribute summon a Thunder Dragon off the Serpent, but come on, that doesn't matter. You just made their discard fodder requiring cards good. You made them not worry about the Nobleman, cross out their BLS top deck. BLS at a later point. And you made Kaiko and Tomato good. So are we priced into ringing this Tomato? I guess. I mean, it's a pretty good ring, to be fair. We are very low in life, but that's just what happens. So at this point, I think we have two different options. Because here we're just to Kaiku if we leave the spy in attack mode. But if we switch it, we might be giving Abnecide a lot of time to draw a Ring of Destruction. Chaos is not live, so it's pretty much only Kaiku that kills us. I mean, there could be an Asura Priest, but that's not for sure. Especially seeing as we're not playing Scapegoat in our deck. I would lean towards attacking with both and just praying. Decides to play it slow. Alright, we lead with the pot. We set Shining Angel, set Judgment, and next turn we try to go for the game shot. We could also summon Shining Angel and run over the Serpent so that there's one less body in the way the following turn, seeing as Shining Angel doesn't actually lose to Kaiku. Yeah, I think that might be slightly better. Decides to set it, also fine. So now I think we go all out. Summon Angel. You could make a case that the only thing we lose to is a combination of... No, I think we summon the Angel and attack with everything and pray. Works out. This is a bit slow, but I mean, it was a Reaper, so turns out to be a reasonable play, definitely. But we don't know that. Maybe I'm a bit too optimistic thinking this is going to go through, but I doubt there's that many traps that actually affect us at this point. Because books, if they have to book something, that's a win in my book. even if that. And if there's a Mirror Force with Judgment and a Judgment back, then fine, that's pretty bad, I guess. At this point, we're not complete. I mean, no, I would have gone for it, but this is fine, I guess. Alright, so now we snatch the Reaper. Okay, we'll check for Torrential first with the Angel. I agree with that. Yeah, and we delay the Blade Knight. Oh wow. Do we Solemn back here? I think not, but I'm not sure. I mean, this is so tricky. Okay, but at this point we have committed, right? So now we have to go for lethal. I guess the two angels is enough to do so. I'm not sure we need to commit another body. We could switch the spy as well. I claim that in that case we beat the Book of Moon, and we're still not lost to Mirror Force. We're still in a good position against the Mirror Force. So yeah, maybe switching one spy is fine. Whoa, goes for the Blade Knight. But we're not sure there's no Torrential, are we? I don't think so. Alright, so there is no Torrential. So there's the Mirror Force. I can't help but feel that we might have been able to play this better. But then again, I would run into the Mirror Force plus Judgment combination, so I guess maybe I would be dead by now. So I'll refer to Dingo. Um, Summon a Zero, check Torrential. Yeah, switch both. Why are we only switching one? I mean, at this point, the only thing that punishes us is a book. Unless there's like a Secret's armor. I don't really see why we wouldn't. I guess the second spy doesn't do anything, is the point. Because if they were to like book the surprise, it doesn't matter if we're attacking with one spy or two. But I don't see how it's ever bad. Because having one spy in attack mode is already causing us to take lethal damage. There's no mirror force. I don't see how keeping a spy in defense is ever going to help us. So I would have attacked with both spies here. So that if I were to like book the Asura, then at least we're taking them down to 100 life and threatening lethal on the following turn with the two spies against the Serpent. Wow. That was a really weird duel. It was really cool though. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I did not suggest the best place there. But I also don't think Dingo chose the perfect decisions every time. I think it was really tricky from both players' point of view. I think Dingo maneuvered it well overall, but yeah, I'm not sure it was perfectly played, but I think it was well played, and I am not confident I would have maneuvered that game any better. So this is the return deck that Dingo used to win the ACS, as I said in the beginning of the video. And Dingo has been putting up results with it, so maybe this is a deck we're going to see more of moving forward. When I first heard of their concept, I was a bit critical of Shining Angel. I thought, well, Thunder Dragon seems like a better fit, as it's faster with return, but Shining Angel is a better fit in the aggro archetype, which a lot of people are claiming is the correct shell to play return in an aggro deck. And I think I can agree with that. So I think this is a really cool concoction from Dingosig. And I'm looking forward to see them playing this deck more and maybe see more people try to play return from the different dimension. Definitely a card with a lot of potential. Alright, this has been Lucas. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.